After thousands of breast implants, it usually takes me less than half an hour to do the procedure. You wake up with virtually no pain, you go home in an hour, and if you had surgery Wednesday, you're back to work by Monday. But before we get there, you have a lot of decisions to make, like size, shape, texture, profile, and more. Sometimes it takes me longer to explain your choices than it does to actually do the surgery. Let's take a look at them. Breast implants have been around over 100 years. The first implants were in 1889 in England, which is a scary thought because they didn't have anesthesia, so you're really glad you weren't there. But even the modern implants got a bad reputation during the 90s, saying that they cause breast cancer. If you take a look at the statistics today, though, it was discovered that breast implants have no relation to an increased incidence in breast cancer, whether they're silicone or saline. So, says the smart person, why they take silicones off the market for 20 years? The reality is they didn't. What happened was that when all the publicity happened on television, the FDA reconsidered grandfathering them like they had with aspirin and other drugs that were there before and made them start over. So as of 2006, silicone implants and saline implants are available. Now, the modern rules are interesting. If you're less than 18 years old, the new rules say unless there's a specific reconstructive problem, you have to wait till you're 18 to get implants. From 18 to 22, you're allowed saline implants, and after 22, you can pick silicone or saline. The reality is that saline implants are made of silicone shells, and there's no such thing as an implant without silicone. And the only difference really is that the saline implant, you can feel the wall buckle in and out if you have thin skin and poor muscle coverage. They look the same, they weigh the same, but the silicone implants are a little softer and a little harder to feel when you feel the breast. So, while most people over 22 years of age get silicone, the reality is that if you have good skin coverage and good muscle coverage, there's really almost no difference between the two. What about implant failure? Well, implants don't have a lifetime. There's no 10-year rule where you have to change your tires after 10 years. That's just not true. That all happened because from 1978 to 1986, they used silicone liquid. The silicone liquid melted the bag, and they all broke by 10 years. After 1986, we've all heard the expression, if they're not broken, you don't fix them. So most implants will last throughout the patient's life. If you look at the statistics that the FDA looked at during the approval of these implants, almost half the people that have implants have to have another surgery later on. That includes both the reconstructive people, which I think have a little bit higher incidence, and the cosmetic people, which I've seen have a little bit of a lower incidence. That said, changing the implant, if that becomes a problem, is not very difficult because the pocket's already made. So, if you have a saline implant, it's salt water. It leaks out, the breast deflates, you make an incision and change the implant. The new silicone implants are made out of a cohesive gel. It's no longer a liquid that can migrate into the surrounding tissue. That gel stays together. So if you have a broken silicone implant, you take out the implant and you put a new one in, just like the saline implant. So it's not a danger to your health if the implant breaks. It's certainly a cosmetic issue, but changing the implant is not a particularly difficult surgery if you have a ruptured implant later on. Now, how does an implant break? Usually when an implant breaks, it's because the pocket shrinks, gets too small, the implant folds over and rubs on itself. How can that happen? Well, we've already said that breast cancer is not the main risk of having breast implants. The biggest risk of breast implants is overforming scar tissue around the implant called capsular contracture. Anytime a little kid falls down and gets a cut on their chin, they get a little scar. Well, some people get bad scars and some people get scars that are almost not able to be seen. It's not necessarily predictable. The scar tissue inside around your breast implant is equally unpredictable. Some people form a little bit of scar tissue and you feel a little rippling in the corner and you leave them alone. Sometimes, though, people form a lot of scar tissue and the implant will get round, high, and hard. When that happens, you have to go back and change the implant and take out the scar tissue. You cure the majority of people, but rarely people form that scar tissue over and over and you have to give up and take them out. So capsular contracture is really the most common problem that we see with breast implants. It's not a danger to your health, it's certainly inconvenient, and it's unpredictable. Implants come in different profiles. You could have a round or a teardrop implant. The difference is that a round implant is flat on the back and round on top. A teardrop implant is smaller on the top and bigger on the bottom. It was supposed to give you a more natural appearing shape to the breast. However, when you take a round implant and you hold it up on edge, it's already a teardrop because the weight of the filling goes to the bottom. And if you stand up for a few months, that filling can stretch the bottom of the implant. And what happens is the implant's now empty on top because most of the filling is on the bottom and your breast looks saggy. So most people, after a few years, don't like the look of the teardrop implant. I also feel that it's more possible to have an implant failure because if the top is empty or nearly empty, the front can rub against the back of the implant and cause the implant wall to fail. So I don't like teardrop implants in general. Then there were textured and smooth implants. The textured implant was supposed to be a rough surface that stopped the formation of scar tissue, that capsular contracture thing that we talked about. Well, I don't believe that it worked, and the rough surface was thicker, and so you could see waviness. But more importantly, we now know that there's a cancer associated with getting breast implants. It's rare, but 1 in about 40,000 people form a lymphoma of the scar tissue, which is a little lump of cancer around the implant. Well, it turned out that that cancer was much less likely to form with smooth implants and much more likely to go away if you just took the implant out with smooth implants, but not with textured implants. So in the past few years, most textured implants have been removed from the market. There still are some available, but I don't believe it's a good idea, and I don't think that they help with the scar tissue thing. What about formed implants like gummy bears, which hold their shape no matter what position you're in? I don't believe that's natural looking because when you lay down, they stand up like little torpedoes, and because they hold one shape, they can twist, and you would need to go back and fix them. They're not very popular amongst my colleagues. Then you have high profile and moderate profile. What that speaks to is the width to height ratio of the implant. A moderate profile is lower and wider, which gives you more cleavage. A high profile implant's a little bit narrower and a little bit higher, which gives you more lift. Well, you have to put the implant centered on the nipple. And so if you use a moderate profile implant, you've got just as much breast medially towards the middle of your chest as laterally towards your arm. And I found that most people don't like a lot of breast sticking out on the side. The extra lift that you get from the high profile implants give you a more youthful look, and you can get all the cleavage you want by using a bra and pushing the implants together. So in most cases, I think the high profile implants are a better choice. But what you're really looking at is you're really looking at how much emptiness there is in the middle between your breasts and how much that implant sticks out on the side, which brings us to the next topic, which is implant size. I don't believe in picking somebody's size. Been there, done that, no thanks, because what's a B to you could be a C to somebody else. Some people wear their bra with their breast sticking half out of their shirt. Some people have their bra so big you don't know if there's breasts inside of there or not. And some guys wear 34 pants with their beer belly sticking over their butt, but they think that's what fits. 2 is the new 6. Some clothing companies are putting size 2 labels on size 6 clothes so people can brag. And there are brassiere companies that are putting double D labels on C-cup bras so people can brag they're a double D. It's all marketing. So the ABC thing doesn't work like it used to anymore because companies are playing with that to fit their marketing strategy. You can't look at somebody else on the internet because you say, oh, she got 375, she's too big, but she might have had 500 cc's of her own breast before she put it in. You're not looking at a before and after. And The docs that try to take a caliper and a tape measure and measure you and then pick a breast implant that they think fits out of the book, that's like going online and trying to pick a wedding dress after you measure yourself without ever trying it on. You know that's not going to work. So the best way to do this is simple. You come in a week before surgery, we put you in a medium flat panel sports bra, and we put sizes in. Your breast plus 300, your breast plus 400, your breast plus 500. You look in the mirror and that's what it's going to look like. And in order to succeed, you should come in with a suitcase. Why? I give you 500s, you say too big. You put a black heavy sweater on, you can't see the breasts at all. You put a white tight t-shirt on, they're the biggest breasts on the planet. You need to try them on with clothing. Once you see that, you're going to see pretty much exactly what it's going to look like because your breast plus the implant and the bra, there's the size. It is what it is. So, bottom line is, you're picking implant profile, implant texture, implant shape, implant size, silicone or saline. All of those things are important choices. During your consultation with the plastic surgeon, you have to ask all those questions, understand all the answers, and come to the choices that best fit you.